you can do it. You can read those books. You can get there. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kat, and today I am freaking out a bit about all the books that I'm aiming to read by the end of the year. At the time of filming this, we have about 2.5 months left in the year. Probably less by the time you see this, but I have 23 books that I'm aiming to get to, and that's pretty much the equivalent of my whole 25 for 2025 list. So it's a lot. It's a very ambitious list, especially considering my reading speed. I read between, on average, 4 to 8 books in a month, 8 being a very good month. So yeah, I have a lot of reading to do, and hopefully I can make a good dent into that list. But yeah, overall, I have a whole shelf to read in 2.5 months. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Overall, that's 23 books that I'm aiming to read by December 31st, and I'm gonna quickly go through them with you. The first one is Blood Over Bright Heaven by Wang, which I am currently reading. I'm just a little bit in, and I'm buddy reading this with Melanie from a dark corner of the library. So far, I'm enjoying it a lot, so I'm hoping to eat this up fairly quickly. Then, before I forget them, I have 2 books that are not on my shelves. The first one is True Biz by Nović. This is a novel about a school for deaf students, and I want to read this for the Elmate Book Club Diversity Bingo Challenge. I only have, I think, 3 books left to read in order to get a full blackboard, so this is one of them, and I'm hoping I can fulfill this challenge. The next one is a bit of a surprise to come because I don't even know what the book is yet exactly. I have a plan to buddy read a Olivia Blake novel with the cat bite at some point around the end of the year. We're not sure exactly which one. I think she had 2 titles in mind because she's already read a couple of them. I haven't. So yeah, I think one of them is Alone with You in the Ether, something like that, and I don't remember the name of the other one, but we'll see. And I'm excited to be doing another buddy read with the cat bite at some point because I really enjoy them. All right, now moving on to my monstrous pile. This whole section is what is left of my 25 for 2025 list. I started the year so well. I was fully on track, reading about 2 books a month from that list, and then I completely fell off. So I have 3, 6, 9, I have 10 books left from that list, which is horrendous. I should be much further along. So the first one is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is a YA heist fantasy story, which is a BookTube favorite, so I'm expecting to love this. I'm hoping to get to this one in November for the Neurovember challenge because I've heard this book has great neurodiversity and disability representation as well, so I'm very excited for that. The next one is This Is What It Sounds Like by Susan Rogers and Ogas. It's also a book I'm hoping to get to in November for Neurovember. This is a book about why we love the music that we love, kind of looking at those patterns and all that. The author is a former very successful music producer turning neuroscientist, so this promises to be fascinating. Then we have a French novel, Nous by Christelle Dabos. She is the author of The Mirror Visitor, which I absolutely adore, and so this is her newest big fantasy novel. I don't know if it's fantasy or sci-fi or a mix of both, but this is in French. I don't think it has been translated yet, but I'm very excited to read it in the original French. Then we have a sort of self-helpy book, which is Pace Yourself by Amy Harter. I had started listening to this on audio a long while ago and I was enjoying it, but felt like I would get more from the book if I read the physical copy, so I have this here. I'm hoping to get to it, but I feel it's probably a bit less of a priority. I feel like I need this a little bit less at the moment, so we will see if I get to it or if it's one that I have to sacrifice. Then this is a Swedish novel by Anneli Jordal, which has been translated into English as well. I think it's titled something like The Daughters of the Bear Hunter, something like that. This sounds to be right up my alley. It's the story of 7 sisters who are, I think, living a bit as wildling in the forest, but one day their father doesn't come back. So I'm very intrigued. It's a bit of a chunky one, but I would love to get a Swedish novel under my belt this year. I ideally would read it in Swedish, but I think it's probably a bit too advanced for me. Then we have Paideia by Claire Garand. This is another French novel. This is a sci-fi, sounds super intriguing. I fell in love with the cover, and so I'm definitely wanting to get to it. I'm very curious about it, and I hope I love it. Next we have Pod by Lalin Paul. I've read The Bees by this author last year and I really enjoyed it. This one is about a pod of dolphin and I've heard very good things about it, so I'm quite curious to read it at some point. Then we have a non-fiction. This is In Good Hands, The Making of a Modern Conductor by Alice Farnham. I'm quite curious to learn more about music. I've said this quite a few times on my channel already. I really need to get to those music books. So yeah, this is again a non-fiction from my 25 for 2025 list. Next we have Wool by Hugo Laurie. This is recommended very warmly by one of my best friends, so I'm very curious to read it and see if I like it as much. Then we have The Mountain in the Sea by Rain Naylor. This is more sci-fi as well, and I don't know, I just saw the cover, was very intrigued. It has octopuses, I don't know. Well, again, very intrigued to get to it. So those were all the books for my 25 for 2025 list. Moving on to this other section, which is a bit more random. We have those two, A Walk in the Wood by Bill Bryson, and then 20 Poemas de Amor y una Canción Desesperada de Pablo Neruda. Those two books I'm hoping to get to again for the Ellen Make Book Club Diversity Bingo Challenge. I said I need to read 3 books to get to a blackboard. The first one was True Biz. Then I'm hoping to get this one for the kind of laughter, humorous read. And then this one is tiny. I can surely read this. Also, it would be nice to read another book in Spanish during the year. The next 2 books are the second and third books in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I recently read the 5th season as a buddy read with Chelsea from Libraries and Lattes. I found this book fascinating. I will definitely talk about it more in an upcoming reading wrap-up, but so I definitely want to continue with the series and hopefully finish it by the end of the year. So I need to get to book 2 and then book 3. Next we have The Tyranny of Merit by Michael J. Sandel. This is a book I heard about on the Catback channel and it sounded very interesting. The subtitle is What's Become of the Common Good. Kat speaks very highly of this book. I know she really enjoyed it. It's one of her favorites and the topic sounded super interesting. I've definitely been intrigued by Kat's review and wanted to read this. I'm excited to be buddy reading it with a friend of mine offline, so it's gonna be nice. Next we have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This I'm planning to buddy read with Bonnie Nicole. Not sure when exactly, but I'm excited to dive into it. I loved The Invisible Life of Ajiru by the same author, which I read earlier this year, so I'm really curious about this one. Then we have the third book in the Mirror Visitor series by Christelle Dabos. This is the French edition. I'm slowly rereading the whole series and doing it as a buddy read with Steph Morgan. It's been a lot of fun and I'm so glad that she is also enjoying those books quite a bit. I'm pleased to have someone to talk to about them and I'm really looking forward to diving into the third book. Then we have Faithbreaker by Anna Kenner. I read God Killer and Sunbringer earlier this year and really loved them. This was really a good surprise. I was fairly impressed with a lot of the world building, some of the writing, so it's been a delightful surprise because I was not expecting to love those books as much as I did, and so I definitely want to finish the series. I did read the previous books as buddy reads with Catherine and then Rochelle at Good Morning Dreamer. I think Catherine was also interested in buddy reading the third one, so we will see if we can make that happen. It's a lot of buddy reads, so I need to organize my schedule quite thoroughly. Then we have Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. This is the main book I want to get to for Neurovember, so I think this one is definitely gonna happen. I'm very intrigued by it, so it's gonna be my second Olivia Blake because I need to read another one with the cat bite. Okay, one more book and we're done, but this one is a chunky one. The last one, as I said, is a bit of a brick. This is The Sisters by Jonas Hassan Khemiri. This is a Swedish author of, I think, Tunisian descent. He's a very famous and successful writer in Sweden, and I've been intrigued by his work for a while, but I've never gotten around to reading any of his books. So when I saw that he released a new one about sisters, which is a topic that I thoroughly enjoy reading about, I knew this one had to be the one. And I'm gonna be buddy reading this with Caitlin over at Spiel the Reads. So another buddy read. I'm excited because I think I will need the accountability to get to it before the end of the year. And that's it. Those are the merely 23 books that I'm hoping to get to by the end of the year. I'm probably a bit delusional, but like, ambition, we love to see it, don't we? So wish me luck with all the reading. Let me know if you've read any of those books, if you think there are one that I should absolutely read by the end of the year, that I should prioritize. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye. And then we're moving on to this second section with those were all the books from my 25 from 2022. Look at this little capybara. Isn't it adorable? This is a message for future me. You can do it. You can read those books. You can get there.